So, on the class, we were talking about offshore taxation, and we were able to see different schemes. How can we do this? So, to check the same thing or similar thing at our company, then obviously we have to focus on intangibles or foreign revenue. So these are the two major ways how multinational companies can optimize their taxes. If we are checking our own case study, which is supposed to be analyzed during the semester, then that was the last sample solution. So with all this short-term funding, at the end of the day, if we are going back to the profit and loss statement, first of all, we can consider foreign revenues. So we can create an agent company which will supervise overall sales on the US market for Amazon. Now they renamed the Kuiper there are some reasons. So Amazon Kuiper was renamed to Amazon Leo. Yes, so first of all, it means lower orbit. On the other hand, it's simpler than Kuiper, especially for me. So yeah, now this is the new product name. Anyway, still we have to launch this stuff and they are paying for us. So yeah, so we have this 18 satellites. Then the question is that if this is collected by a foreign entity, can we do this or not? Or should we do this or not? So this is what we should test. And once we tested it, then we can go forward and check other opportunities. So assignment 5 sample tax optimization. So introduction. To optimize taxes, multinational companies tend to follow two main strategies. One is related to foreign revenues and the other is to intangibles. So royalty fees, or licenses, and so on. We should. Hello. So we should yeah, it's visible. Okay, we should compare the following strategies. First is that since we have only foreign revenues from the Amazon, so foreign revenues are collected by a US entity and keeps it in some tax haven, or so intellectual property rights, or some of them will be outsourced to another company. So IPs. Okay, let's start with this one. So US revenues. So we know, first of all, we have to remove everything from here. We will get we have to do we have to do 18 launches for Amazon Leo. Okay, at least I was able to write it without a typo right now. For Amazon Leo, former Kuiper satellite constellation. With a fee of how much is this? This is million, obviously. So in this case, we can say that okay, let's create an entity. So we can create now, since the Kuiper name is not used anymore, so we can say that okay, US Kuiper company, which will supervise this program, and collect some management fee. So this is the case that how can we tap this contract? So we can follow clicked the wrong way. So we can follow this scheme when we have an agent, or we can do the cheese strategy where we are selling the service, but there is an interim actor who will buy the service, then sells again. Hey, this is also happening in not in the cheese market only, but in many cases commodity markets where we have interim players for buying natural gas, for buying crude oil. So there is only a company which has the connection to the exporter country and then to the importer country also at the same time, and they have a nice margin for some reason. And how can we do this? So first of all, we see that already I made this 10% markup, and the reason was that in this case we can do it. So once I was planning ahead, so in this case we can say that, oh, let's keep this money abroad instead of bringing it home. Does it have any relevance for our operations? So The problem is that it will have not much contribution because these revenues we realized in the fourth year and in the fifth year, uh, and after that we don't have much interest revenue uh, on this 10%, and after that we have to calculate the present value of this revenue. So end of the day we will get not much, but let's check it. So tax optimization scenario 1. We will collect this money, this 18 multiplied by multiplied by 0.1 would be. Could you please turn off the volume because this is disturbing? Thank you. And so we can raise something like this. Okay, this is still a remarkable sum of money. So just we have to reduce this because this happens in the first year. First year, fourth year. And there will be also additional the fifth year. So, how can we invest this? Do we have any US interest data for the next 5 and 4 years ahead? I don't think so, but here we had 1% per year, which is not much. Yeah, but that was for euro. So let's assume that we can invest this money at. So right now, interest rates in the US for 1 year are in the range of 3.6%. So let's assume that we got all the money at the beginning of the year, so at least we can earn some money. We could say that, oh, we could calculate the average, just the problem is that average value here in this turbulent environment can be anywhere. So if there is an inflation shock, okay, that was extreme in the 80s, we know that this was after the collapse of Bretton Woods system. But since even if we are just focusing on the 90s, we can see that if we have deflationary periods like it happened after the 2008 crisis, then we can get anything. So let's say that it's 3%. 3% of interest rate. And then and then to relocate it France at the end of the fifth year. So this will be absolutely lame, unfortunately, but at least I can say, oh, in the good old days, I mean in the early 2000s, when government says that now Hungarian students cannot get any state grant if they are learning economics. One uh, secretary, I think it was secretary from one ministry, so not a minister, but the guy under the minister, said that it's not necessary to pay for students because they are just learning how to evade taxation and how to launder money. So right now we are doing this, so no problem, but this will be absolutely lame, obviously. So don't do this at home because it's unethical and because it's also lame. Okay, so we are redirecting the funds, so this we can save 10%, and then the 10% will be redirected. Let's add additional rows here because now we have the Kuiper US monstrosity entity. So we can say that what is the revenue for this thing? Is this amount of money 9 times this multiplied by 0.1. Maybe let's copy just the yeah. So this is the markup what we are collecting. Now this number is smaller than it was written here. How did we achieve this? Okay, let's redo this one. This number multiplied by 0.1. Yeah, this is the proper one. And this is in US dollar. And again, this one multiplied by this 0.1. So this is the original revenue, then interest at the end of the year. Then we can say that, okay, let's define R deposit 3%. So we can earn an additional 1 million, well, nearly 2 million on this excellent scheme. And then we can say that after that, we have to determine the present value. Present value of this cash flow right now in the fourth year, sorry, in the practically not in the first year, in the 0 year, but doesn't matter. So this number plus this number, because these are the revenues, divided by. So we need some kind of a discount rate. So how can we do this? The simplest way is that we have to go for the yield curve in the US, and we just have to see that at the current yield curve, what is the yield for fourth year, what is the yield for fifth year, and then we are just taking these interest rates and then using them as a discount rate. Not the best approach, but this is the information what we can have. So the question is that do we have fourth year yields? Full size. Yeah, thank you, AI. That was perfect. Yeah, daily treasury rates. Yeah. Oh, we don't have anything for the fourth year, so we have to do interpolation for that one. Okay. So we're already losing money because of my low interest here. But before doing the present value, so we need the discount rate from yield curve. So we are in the fourth year. Okay, right now we don't have it, but okay, let's pick up the fifth year. So this is only for this is only for the US. Let's add the source of the data. And here we have to do linear interpolation, so we have to add, oops, not the URL, but the US 5-year plus the 3-year and then divided by 2, and then we can see that, okay, this is the other percentage, and still we have to divide it by 100. Make it a percentage, and now we are the happy owner of our discount rate. We could add also others. Yeah, just let's make it nice, but otherwise it doesn't matter. If we would have revenues here, then obviously it would matter, but it would look much more nicer if we can do this for years, or we could do this for the first year, and then it would just accumulating the interests. Ah, sorry, and also nearly forget that. Okay, in the second year we have also this guy here, so not just you are getting the interest, but also plus this one, yeah, because compounding interest. Yes, I was able to save some money. So now we have to see that, okay, what is the present value of this cash flow right now? We can say, let's divide this way. So u plus u divided by 1 plus this number here on the power of 4. This one as well, so altogether the present value of the whole scheme is this money. Yay. So the question is that even if I'm losing some of our revenues, because now the official revenues were decreasing because I just removed this 10% markup. Does it have any impact on the valuation? So this is the value of equity right now. Oh, sorry. Not the value of equity, this is the share value. So I have to save this one. Again, this is unethical. We should not do this. This is just for education purposes, not for career advice. And then we have to see that, okay, does it have any impact if we are just comparing with the original one? Valuation, you. So obviously share price dropped a bit because we rechanneled some of our revenues. So this has an obvious impact. But also at the same time, we know that there is an additional markup. So shareholders can have, potentially can have this. So if you are dividing this number with this one, then we get a really, really small number because we are talking about millions here. Can we get just simple numbers, please? 6. So we can satisfy our shareholders because even if the share price dropped a bit by 200, okay, well, let's say 100 euros, but they can have this increase also in not realized share price increase in terms of euros, which is nearly not existing. So that's why we should not follow this scheme, because not just unethical, but utterly useless as well. After that, obviously, we can start to test that what happens if we are channeling more and more money into this scheme here. What would happen that these numbers would start to decrease, and then sooner or later tax authorities would be more interested what is happening in the US company. But the problem is that still we have to pay some money for the registration of this company. We have to pay some money for the maintenance of this company. So obviously we should have some kind of expenditures related to this one. So still we have to pay for lawyers. And yeah, so this can be the first key. So let's write it down. So therefore we can collect this money, the blah, 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 blah. The present value of the scheme. I had a typo here. Present value of the scheme is million USD, which is not much if we are calculating its or estimating. Per shares impact 0, while the fair value of the shares will drop from this euro to that euro. Please don't do this. Yeah, so that was the first case. Second case can be more interesting because in this case we are exploiting void IPs, intellectual property rights. So in this case, we can, first of all, I should save this one and close it down before I'm modifying it, and I have to make a secondary version of this. Zero two scheme. First, we are saving it that okay without any scamming. Then we are realizing this. And then we have to make something better. Or not first. So, in this case, we have to dig in to the assets and we have to find synergies between or intangibles, and we can see that we have a lot of intangibles. So maybe there is a chance that we can outsource some of this knowledge into a company which will be just supervising this. Sometimes companies are doing it, or sometimes they are not outsourcing the intangibles, sometimes they are even outsourcing assets. So in many cases it can happen that they have so many buildings, for example retail store chains, it can happen that at one point they are just outsourcing all the buildings into a secondary company which is just focusing only on facility management and operations, facility operations or building operations, and later on even they can sell it or it can be a completely different entity. Right now we are not that drastic, but but there is a market niche for that one as well, because we know that we have a really, really special asset. If we are checking the maps with map.cz, because this one, that one opened at first, so we know that okay, this is France, but our launch site is located in French Guiana, in Kourou, here, literally at this swampy land. So somewhere here, I think. So in this environment. Uh, and right now we have complete monopoly on this business, and the benefit of operating from here is that we are literally at the equator. So equator is somewhere here. So if you are launching here, it's completely enough to have weaker rockets because the spinning of the Earth will also help us until we are launching in this direction. So that's the reason why people are usually launching here, because you can launch higher mass. So since we have this specific asset here, then we can say that, okay, we can start to lease some lands for launch providers. This is what is happening in Florida, that the Kennedy Space Center, but practically uh, the lease is provided by the US Space Force, so I have no idea what are the conditions here and there in the US. But at the end of the day, the US state, some entity of the US state, will provide long-term lease contracts for private enterprises to utilize already existing launch pads. So we can do the same thing. So instead of using intellectual property rights claim, let's use launch facility. Property right exploitation scheme, because this one is good. So we have a global monopoly. Nobody has a launch pad at the equator on the planet right now. Everybody is far away or close enough, but nobody. Indian Space Agency, the ISRO. They are also far. So we are the closest. On the and we have one launch pad for Ariane 6 and one launch pad for the Soyuz, because also European Space Agency were purchasing Soyuz rockets to launch cargo into space before the war. So there should be at least a second launch pad. And there is maybe a third for Vega, but that one is for small rockets, so we don't care about that one. So we have a global monopoly on the near equator launch business. In Kourou, with the Kourou land site. The problem is that Kourou is located in French Guiana, and French Guiana is just so it's not an overseas territory. This is a even part of the European Union. So this is just a French county. I think this is the. But let's check it. Nice. Overseas department and region of France. But from taxation point of view, I don't think that they are. French Guiana taxes. Oh, oh. Capital gain tax are standard tax rate. Yeah, so they are using the same like at home. Uh, that's not good. Anyway, so we have a global monopoly and launch site, and we can lease this out for foreign companies. Well, sorry for yeah. So Maybe the importance of this scheme will be that they will be not French companies, uh, but something else. So this is how we can still put a middleman into this scheme as well. Due to the war, the former Soyuz launch site no longer operational. Uh, I heard rumors that there is already a company which, in real life, they are transforming this launch site to for their needs. Just I was not able to find any public data that which company, but someone already does this. So we are not completely far-fetched. Former Soyuz launch site no longer operational, but it converted for someone else's needs. Hopefully not SpaceX. No, they are so closely supervised that anything would go there, then at least three streamers and two YouTubers would follow the ship. So no SpaceX. Uh, let's assume that this business will be again supervised and managed by an agent force in not in French Guyana, because in this case we are just paying taxes like at home. Someone in the what is the case of Brazil? Brazil is a nice place. In this case, we can just pick up PVC's current tax report, and then we can just go for Brazil. Not the overview, but let's see taxes on corporate income. So baseline scenario is that we should pay 25% of our revenues as taxes. Dun, dun, no resident companies, general. Yes, based on income generated locally. Nice. We are not generating it locally in Brazil because we are selling overseas or operations in French Guyana. So this one is cool. Non-resident companies can be subject of withholding tax on income derived from Brazil's source. No problem. Corporate income tax is assessed at a fixed rate of 15%. Cool. So we can save this one here. In Brazil. Okay, there is not much competition, so if you are looking on the map, then there is Suriname, Guyana, or Brazil. Obviously, Venezuela may be that best case for us, so yeah, this was winning. Or we could go for Cayman Islands, but okay, let's go for Brazil. So in this case, so this means that no income will be generated locally or in Brazil. Sorry, neither. Brazil, nor in France. So we are not the subject of the 15% in annual taxable income, or even if we are, then still it's lower than what we can get in France. So if we are collecting, unfortunately, such lease fees are not public even in the US. So SpaceX lease Florida Cape. So we know that they are doing the lease, but we have no idea for how much money. Historical loans complex, blah blah blah, but obviously this information is usually not transparent for some reasons. So we have to come up with something. So let's say that if we are collecting 50 million euros, well, let's be shy. Let's say just collecting to 20 million euros, and after that we can scale this thing up. This is only for technology demonstration anyway. If you are collecting 20 million euros per year, saving it on account, and transferring it to the parent company in the 5th year. What will happen with the value? Sorry, with the share value. Okay, so let's collect the money. So we are just collecting the additional revenue. So let's again create a call it Coro launch pad revenue something something. So in this case we have the lease fee. This is land lease, so this is not a financial lease. Okay, what we can collect, but this is annually 20, 20, 20, 20, and 20 again. So we can even add the growth factor, but okay, we don't care much about this. And also we have the interest revenue on all of this. Luckily, we don't need to look for interest rates because already we have so many different interest rates, especially on savings. So you are here. Then at the end of the next year, we have to add this number plus this number, and then multiply it with the next interest rate. And obviously we can copy it, just extend this further and further, so we are doing compounded interest, so plus u. Yep. And then we are extending further with u and u. Oh, and you are not B, you are A, because moving sideways, and you are F. This, and then we are in the G column. Okay, so now we were able to earn such amount of money, then we can say that deposit at the end of period is all these numbers. How can I do this? I could use some function, but that was faster, so I was able to collect such amount of money. This was not text, and now we can just say that let's add this to our cash reserves. So plus this. I'm using pink, not pink. Pink was already used. Then red. So we can see that okay, that was biased by this number. And did it have an impact on the valuation? Yes, it had. So with all this careful scamming, then we were able to say that okay, we were able to get this amount of money. We can ask the question that okay, but what happens if you are just not doing this? So because maybe we are just collecting it at home and don't care about this thing at all. So let's take that we are not doing this. You are going back to the original, and we can just say that okay, let's collect this money as an additional revenue, not in US dollars. We have to start this one somewhere. Additional euro revenue from Launchpad. No, we are not. I'm just using italics. Blah 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 blah, and I only have to add to the revenues this number here plus 20. And I'm doing it really carefully. That's the reason that I'm adding it manually, because after that I have so many changes here and there that it's more reliable if you are just not messing up the whole set of bunch of functions. Yeah, so in this case, we're just collecting it, put it into a bank account, happy cash reserves will be built up, don't care about anything, and then we can see that running this scheme has absolutely no impact or even terrible impact because at the end of the day, without running the tax scheme, we can make more money for the shareholders. So, yeah. So in many cases, this can happen that okay, we are saving some taxes, we can keep money abroad, but it will have not much impact for the shareholders. So this is not just transparent, it is not just hurting the state in general, but this is absolutely neutral for shareholders that what we are doing in the background, or even we can say that fair share price will be biased downwards if we are conducting such unethical operations. So, well, the share price actually would be higher by, you know, if we would just, as a revenue. So, please don't do this again. So, there is a limit. There should be a limit for greediness at the end of the day. So, so corporate ethic or business ethics starts with corporate social responsibility, which means that it is a nice gesture to pay money for the state as they are providing well educated workforce, proper infrastructure, and delicious public contracts for us. So it is good to pay taxes because after that we can earn much more on the state through public procurement processes than what we are paying for them. So therefore we don't want to conduct any of the aforementioned tax optimization schemes. Yeah. So this is the terrible conclusion. So we spent a lot of time again to test different ideas, and mostly they ended disastrously. And not just disastrously, but they would be quite ugly. Usually I'm the last guy who talks about business ethics, but okay, I still have my limits. So obviously, these are the names. Then we need practically we have to go through the different assignments. So assignment one, new launch vehicle design. And in this case, what we need here is how does it look like? Launch numbers. Obviously, I am oh, I'm not you. Oh, the wrong place. Blah blah blah. This is my beautiful design. This is the flying trash bin, so we don't care about that one. This is ore. Asset. Yes, and we already have beautiful figures for that one. So we can see that by achieving this, then our launch numbers will increase, which is cool. And of course, we can add the financial consequences to this as well. Huh? Okay, let's add EBIT, revenues, and cash reserve. So instead of a poor donkey which is bleeding money, now we have a cash cow. Then we have funding. Funding decisions, so this will come from not from here, but from the second assignment. How did I do this? Okay, so I have to look for the second assignment. Yeah, because that was valuation, but valuation was necessary, so let's go for long-term funding. So funding decisions. In this case, we have to see that shares. We have to issue bonds, shares.
Professor,
Yes.
so the presentation is actually on assignment 3 or 4?
All the assignments will be added.
Well, I mean the presentation.
Yeah.
It's all the assignments.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And that's the reason we did this. So we have bonds, shares, just the data sources are different. So obviously this will come from assignment 1. Funding decisions, this will come from assignment 3. So we have to issue bond shares or use financial lease. So in this case, obviously, I was choosing. So I have to choose. New equity issuance. And where is 3? Yeah, in this case. Okay, let's download you because I know that this was accepted. So first of all, that was the number of the new shares. what we need. Obviously, this number can be completely different, and still we have to talk about weighted average cost of capital. Instead of the earlier one, and then happy diagnostics. So Ozono score, that if we are doing this, then obviously the probability of default should go downwards. Otherwise, we have issues, and also value of the company will change. Bond issuance, blah blah blah. What is this? My lease scheme. Then also we have to check foreign exchange exposure. Or practically assignment 2 is not necessary, because the assignment 2 is only prepares assignment 3 and 4, so we are not relying on data on that one. I can close this one. Basically, we can copy and paste this one here. So which currencies are involved? Yeah, because of this, net position is that. To understand the relevance of this position, we have to compare the impact of the two strategies.
For the assignment 3, we should choose what was the best option, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Also in 4 and also in 5.
I think with all the solutions, it looks like the funding was actually the right way.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on whatever engine you use, it looked like the funding, equity, issuing new shares was the way.
Yeah. That was not the case 3 and 4 years ago. So until interest rates were really low, then it was really hard to highlight that why equity issuance can be good. So right now, in this environment, under this data, then yes, equities funding is completely superb.
I was thinking when you change the interest rate, I was thinking probably it will change whatever. But I realized it's
No. So parameters can be changing, but right now the changes are so drastic. What happened here? This forecast. Okay, let's copy it. Then let's use this one. Yeah, this is also the beauty of this modeling, because in this case we can see that which variable can be relevant to understand corporate operations, and which variables can be sometimes absolutely irrelevant. This is, we can only know this way. Okay, possible hedging strategies. Yeah. We had the old case study with the railways, where we had many emerging currencies and different exposures. At that time, it was always total hedging. We have to follow that one. But since these are key currencies, we don't have much story here, just expenditures. Yep. Okay. Then the last one is money laundering. Oh, sorry, tax evasion. Okay, so scheme 1, scheme 2. We can write about it, and at the end of the day, we have conclusion. So first of all, main product. Some description about this. So in my case, this was Themis. Themis. First stage recovery. We use 10 times. Now this number is also really old because now SpaceX relaunches it 20 times, so it's the 10 times is now we are even above the 500 relaunch of the first stage. So this is the lag what we have to face in this industry right now. So only Blue Origin was able to at least recover the first stage 2 weeks ago. So now they are the second company on this market who can do it, and still they are not relaunching it. So yeah. Okay, so the main product is here. Funding is done. So funding requirement for the reorganization is million euros. Funding will be provided through bond issuance, equity issuance, something, and foreign exchange exposure will be covered by this strategy. And finally, the share value will increase from what was the initial share price? Let's check the original. No recovery. Yeah, this was the. Yeah. Okay, we can be better. And let's type it manually. Okay, for me, the final value without the schemes. So let's save it and let's. Not reopening it, and also this is with short-term funding. I don't care about short-term funding, so you should be open because this was the last valuation without me mingling with it. So just checking for typos, and that's all what we need. So you should always, okay, this one is the same for everybody. So this is the shitty original state of the company, and that one is the yours. So this should be changed.